at it like we left summer. What's going on, y'all? It's your man Furious Styles, your hip-hop loving, video game playing, time traveling homie from YouTube. And I have a special announcement for you. Your homie is branching out, and he's starting his own hotline. That's right, just like all your favorite celebrities from back in the day, like Mean Gene Okerlund and Freddy Krueger. I guess he had one of these, right? That's right. If you're loving my retro report card and want a little bit more, I got you. I'll be giving you previews and behind the scenes info to all of my episodes. And if you're interested, all you got to do is call 281-330-8000. Sorry, real unprofessional. You got a theory? Wait, what? Whose number is it? Who? Okay, well, thanks to another legal oversight, I am forced to do this the classic way. So, welcome to another episode of my Retro Report Card, the show for retro collectors by a retro collector, where I play the test dummy to see if games from back in the day deserve to be in our collection, and used to have a hotline owned by a guy that's hot and they all on or something. Anyways, I got a special episode for y'all today. I mean, they all special because, you know, I'm special and I work my ass off for these videos, and yeah. So James Gunn's Superman drops tomorrow and will probably kick off the rebooted DCEU. And I, for one, am excited to watch it in like 2 weeks because I got anxiety. And this excitement is sort of odd for me because despite this dope shirt, I'm not a big Superman fan. I mean, I'm not even much of a DC fan. I know. Like, the clock back there, like, is actually my little brother's, Fire E Styles, who is a fan, and I'm kind of more of a Batman guy, so this ain't gonna be here in the next episode. Sorry. But for real though, James Gunn don't miss, so honestly, I can't wait to see how it turns out. And Superman is literally the blueprint for the superheroes we know and love today. He's easily one of the most recognizable characters ever and is an American icon, which is weird because he's an alien. I'm just putting it out there. But even though he's faster than a tall building, more powerful than a speeding bullet, and able to leap locomotives in a single bound, wait, he also has his weaknesses: kryptonite and the inability to be the subject of a decent solo video game. I don't know if this is a conspiracy thanks to the fine folks at LexCorp, but Supers has never really truly had a good video game title by himself. Superman, the new Superman Adventures, which is the official name of Superman 64, not Superman 64, is often cited as one of the worst video games ever created, and, well, let's just say most of the games featuring the Man of Steel haven't reviewed much better. And compared to the catalog of his less powerful contemporary, Batman, Superman don't look so super. And even more depressing, I have yet to play any of them. I mean, I might have emulated the NES one from somethingawful.com, if anyone can even remember that site, but honestly, I can't even remember. Well, seeing as I'm still in the hunt for great games in our collection, I set forth on the quest for peace. The quest for the best Superman game, which I know probably still won't be all that great, but still, there's gotta be a decent one in the lot, right? Right? Either way, I had to do a bit of recon to even see what was in the running. I remember seeing the advertisements back in the day for Sunsoft's 16-bit The Death and Return of Superman, which is still one of my favorite comic book arcs. But not because Superman gets killed, no, but the clash of these other super beings attempting to pick up the mantle left by Kal-El. And I remember these ads being everywhere. Somehow, some way, I still never got around to playing it. I also heard rumblings online about Superman The Shadow of Apocalypse on PS2 being worth a look. Now, they said it was not only one of the best games based on Supes, but the fact that it was based on the animated series was a huge plus. Unfortunately, I also avoided it like the plague after seeing the gameplay of Superman The New Adventures of Superman, aka Superman 64, and thought it might be more of the same. The other Superman game that made the shortlist was Superman Returns, based on a 2006 film, Superman Returns. Yeah. They said the bright spots was definitely in most of the cast returning to voice their characters, but seeing as it was based on a Superman film that I unfortunately wasn't all that interested to see, I kind of know why I skipped out on it. But which game would I actually take control of the Last Son of Krypton on? Am I picking up the SNES, the PS2, or am I going back to the 360 for this episode? Well, after some soul searching, painstaking research, and some careful consideration, I made my decision in the only way that would ensure that my viewers, nay, my Furies. Okay, I'm still workshopping names for my, 15 subscribers. Sorry. Get the extent of my reviewing abilities to make a concise and accurate judgment of this game. Whatever. I'm also not exactly proud of how I live. So yes, for this one, we're taking it back to August of 1994. And if there's time, I'll get that phone number issued before that Mick James dude takes it, or whatever his name is. Why were all the rappers rocking hockey jerseys this year? I mean, there were only like 14 black players in the NHL. I mean, ain't no problem with it. I'm just putting it out there. I don't know where it came from, because the only black player anybody ever knew was Russ Tyler. That was the knuckle puck kid from Mighty Ducks 2. Anyways, we're dusting off that Super Nintendo today for this one. I also had the choice of the Sega Genesis version, but I actually heard better things about the Super Nintendo version. Not to mention, I actually had the Super Nintendo at this time. But don't worry, Sega faithful, I promise you, I got an episode lined up for you guys. Once again, we're looking at the 16-bit beat-em-up, The Death and Return of Superman, developed by Blizzard Entertainment. Okay, chill out. They were good at this time. And published by Sunsoft, marking their second Superman title after the 1992 Superman on Genesis. However, the first time at bat was kinda unremarkable. So maybe they learned from their mistakes. Maybe they realized how Superman should look on a game console. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's wait. Okay, so you gotta think, I'm a child of the 90s, right? So within that time period, Superman 4 came out, I was in diapers. And Superman the Animated Series comes out, 2 years after this game is released. So I didn't really have any real big influences of Superman in my life outside of the comic books. I mean, all there was the syndicated Superboy TV show, which I could barely remember, and The Adventures of Lois and Clark, which I remember watching regularly, but as weird as this sounds, I didn't even make the jump that it was a Superman show. Like, it was mainly about Lois and Clark's romance. I mean, look, this was Lex Luthor on the show. And the whole time I'm trying to figure out, why the hell is this guy ripping off Lex Luger? I mean, with all that, seeing the Superman game on SNES wasn't really exciting me at the time. So, what was very on at that time? Oh dear God. Yeah, I'm gonna hear it from the comment section on this one. Here goes nothing. Double Dragon 5, The Shadow Falls. Look, even being grade school age, I remember this game being ass. Even though I absolutely love Double Dragon, this abysmal game was based on the cartoon, and they didn't even put the best part of the cartoon in it. To be a dragon, you gotta be strong. Sorry. Okay, so great theme song, outdated syndicated cartoon, whatever. Let's get back on track. So, how did I do in buying The Death and Return of Superman? Did I get a return on my purchase, or was my deal dead on arrival? See, that's why they pay me the big bucks. Or at least they should be. Hey, have y'all subscribed to my channel? Because, please? So I found a loose copy of the game on eBay, just the game, in acceptable condition for a grand total of $53.99. I mean, kind of high for a Super Nintendo game, especially one I never played and one that doesn't have an insane reputation like, say, Mega Man X or Earthbound or, something like that. But did I overdo it in getting this game? Well, according to the fine folks at pricecharting.com, don't make me sad, y'all. This game is valued at $52. So I bought this at a loss of $1.99. A loss, but not that bad of a loss. I mean, it could be worse than that. I mean, this game could be straight garbage. Uh-oh. So if this is your first time watching my retro report card, I I grade these games fairly and under the intent and scientific method of the 5.0 grading scale, looking at graphics, sound, control, fun factor. Has any game featured Luthor still in the 40 cakes? And challenge. Now, I am amazed this is the first Superman solo game I have ever played. I mean, I have played as Superman in Injustice and Injustice 2, but is it really that hard to make a Superman game? Especially after similarly overpowered heroes like Goku or Ashura have decent games. Either way, let's see where the death and return of Superman falls in the bottomless pit that is Superman games. So, if you're unfamiliar with the death and return of Superman story arc, you take control of the Big Blue Boy Scout. Well, at least up until his battle with Doomsday. Spoiler alert, they both lose. And while the world mourns the loss of Superman, surprisingly, not a lot of Doomsday mourners. 4 other Supermen, more on them later, appear and attempt to take up the fallen mantle. But who will be the one to wear the S on his chest in the end? Once again, I love this story, but how does it translate into a digital medium? Is the quality up and away, or does it need a one-way ticket back to Smallville? Let's pop it in and find out. So we start off in the city of Metropolis. Everything is pretty quiet until the Underworlders? Okay, who the hell are these goofs? The DC comic Morlocks? Rise from the underworld and start to wreak havoc on the city. Of course, this looks like a job for... Who? Matt James? Who? Damn this ADHD. Then you're in control of Superman, saving the day against these freaks or mutants or whatever the hell these rejects are, and you get to see all of what Supes can do in the game. Flying? Surprisingly, check. Eye lasers? Weak as hell, but check. Super strength? It's here. Yeah, no ice breath or super speed or... I mean, I guess being bulletproof diminishes the challenge, but it is sort of insane to see Superman getting hurt by guns. Anyways, after walking through and punching Superman's problems away, we go up against the big bad of the Underworlders. The Cluster. Who the hell named these guys? Sounds like what a dad names the movie he tickles his kids with. Oh, look out, it's the Cluster. Whack. Anyways, by chapter 2, we finally get into the real jumping off point of the story. And we finally get to the face-off with Doomsday. And a bunch of the most stereotypical beat-em-up gang members. This side of Metro City or Wood Oak City. Yeah, I didn't know that was the name of the city in Streets of Rage either. But why are these jackasses stopping me from taking down this monster who's actively trying to destroy humanity? See, this is the equivalent of those Saturday morning cartoon villains that want to destroy the world while they're still on Earth. After dropping all of these color-swapped 80s biker punk types, I finally get my shot at... Ooh, you mother... Okay, so after dropping more of these color-swapped 80s biker punk types, I finally get my shot at... Okay, cool. Doomsday. And damn it. Well, I guess that was supposed to happen? I.e. the death in Superman and all. Either way, according to the news anchor, who I'm pretty sure is former WCW head booker Eric Bischoff, 4 other Supermen show up to take his spot. You got Cyborg Superman, who's half man, half amazing, or half machine, half amazing. I don't know, he's a cyborg version of Superman. Eradicator, a Superman lookalike who decided to rock his sunglasses at night. Superboy, a cocky and immature teen, yet bears a remarkable resemblance to a young Kal-El. And finally, Steel, who took the Man of Steel moniker a bit too far. And I promise you, never had a movie where he was portrayed by basketball superstar and subpar rapper Shaquille O'Neal in 3 years. I'm glad we got that one fixed. Hopefully it doesn't turn out like that goofy Sinbad Genie movie we got erased. Is the camera still on? So the story unfolds through the lens of all these Supermen, and while beat-em-ups tend to get really redundant really quickly, especially beat-em-ups at this time, it's kind of cool to take control of these guys at different parts of the story and not even have the choice of which ones. it's also pretty dope that all these guys control sort of differently. I can't exactly put my finger on it, but you kind of feel it, and it's more than just the sprites or the animations. The graphics are pretty decent, all things considered. The sprites are nice and big, and they do a great job of combining the dark with the bright colors, like an edgy 90s Superman comic. And it's kind of dope seeing the story progress through these comic book styled cutscenes. Unfortunately, the henchman variety is garbage. Maybe like 12 different henchmen with like 6 different modes of attack. While the henchman roster is pretty weak, the bosses are semi-interesting to an extent. After dropping the Clawster in Doomsday, I ended up fighting a lot of the other Supermen depending on who I was, which I know a lot of people would say was pretty lazy, but I honestly found it made the story somewhat more interesting, especially when you didn't know who was coming up next. Of course, it made some of the reasonings for fighting hordes of thugs a bit ridiculous. Not to mention, pretty much every boss fight consists of pummeling your enemy to the best of your ability, but it's a cheap affair. I mean, all they do is combo you while you're trying to get up and then combo you again. There's no strategy in these fights, which is a huge demerit in this department. And the only thing that you can really do is to stockpile a bunch of your special abilities and hope for the best. Now, sound-wise, there's not much to say. There's not much going on, unfortunately. I couldn't really tell you how many songs were on the game because all the songs sound the exact same. It's not that it's bad or nothing. Pretty much your regular standard 90s beat 'em up tracks. So no memorable Streets of Rage or Final Fight bangers. Even the sound effects were decent quality, though they're a bit quiet and somewhat muffled. And other than this laugh, yeah, that's the one. Sounds like Lurch from the Addams Family chuckling if, he wasn't Lurch. None of the other sound effects really stand out like that. And even this one was sparingly used, as I only remember this clip being used by Doomsday after he knocks you down. The game actually handles super well. Okay, I swear that was not supposed to be a pun. Everything reacts as it should, and you can even form a little bit of strategy for a mode of attack. For example, at level 2, while trying to dispatch the cleverly named Molotov and Chainsaw, I saw that Molotov had no short-range attack, while Chainsaw has no long-range attack. So depending on where I was, I could quickly do some damage to Chainsaw, and when I saw Molotov lighting up, move out of the way, and have him smack Chainsaw. Now when Chainsaw was knocked the hell out, I'd close in and start hemming up Molotov. I will say though, keeping to a strategy was tough, which I think offers something in the challenge department. Despite the fact there's never more than 3 enemies on screen, they do the bare minimum to somehow switch up the challenge of taking down your foes by who's on screen in their direct mode of attack. If you're taking a shot every time I say the words mode of attack in this episode, congratulations! It is doing something with not a whole lot. However, the variances in the boss fights are non-existent, and it's pretty much unfair how they just keep giving you 2 and 3 pieces the whole time. And with no block button or defense button, it doesn't make for an intriguing fight outside of the story. Alright, so I laid into the graphics, and the sound, and the controls, and even the challenge. But let's look at the real meat of the game. The fun factor. Truthfully, it's your average beat 'em up on the SNES. Not the worst thing in the world, but there's nothing in the game that furthers the genre or sets it apart from others besides the fact it's about Soups and he can fly. The different traps and challenges sort of run out pretty quickly. And seeing this game is only about an hour and a half long all the way through, it drags near the end. The countless enemies you deal with and the level scenery and obstacles get less and less interesting. Okay, so I ain't even trying to perpetrate, but that was a bit on the underwhelming side. But let's look on the bright side. I finally played a Superman game. It didn't totally suck, so there's that. Well, before we look at if the death and return of Soups flies or dies. Damn, I should have used that one earlier. As with all of my episodes, I take this time to educate you fine folks about some bona fide trivia that you can use to impress your friends, or if you're like me and have none, maybe you might just get an IQ point or 2. Anyway, so despite the fact I was looking for the least disappointing Superman video game, according to Game Rankings, I would have still got this wrong, as by the release of the Death and Return of Superman on SNES in August of 1994, this was the second best reviewed Superman game, right after Sunsoft's first try at Superman on the Genesis. Yo, did Superman ever do any PSAs? Because I don't remember any. I'm just saying. Anyways, you know what time it is. Time for a bit of that judgment. Or maybe it's Judgment Day. Okay, I'll stop. Let's go ahead and look at the graphics. Look, I gotta be honest. The colors win the day here. I mean, they're bright with the red and blue and gold palette, but still dark enough for how dark the story is. The storytelling through the comic book styled graphics was well designed, and the backgrounds and sprites look good, even if there wasn't a lot of them. The animations are a bit on the fluky side, and the planes that you're playing on also get a bit fun. Besides that, this is a good looking beat 'em up. I mean, graphically. Anyways, high marks here. I feel weird doing it, but I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Yeah.
Now on to the sound. Like, I can't remember anything about the music or the sound. I mean, the quality was okay, but it sort of came out low, and all the music sounded the exact same. There wasn't really any songs I was banging my head to, and nothing that sounded like what you'd expect from a Superman affair. Honestly, it just sounded like stock 90s beat 'em up records. A lot of ass rock, which was sort of a downer. The sound is unfortunately gonna get a 2.5.
Whatever, man.
Okay, so let's talk about the controls, and guess what? They're solid. Even for all the button mashing I felt like I was doing, it not only felt reactive, but it even felt like I was moving right. I mean, the control scheme is cool, and despite the laser blast or eye blast, depending on which character you were, being super ineffective, once again, not a pun. Everything else was damn near spot on. Might be a bit too giving, but I'm grading the controls at a 4.5.
Yeah.
Then there's the fun factor, and this is where the letdown really hits. It's a short game. Besides the switching of characters, the game doesn't really offer much. I'm a huge beat 'em up fan, but this is a pretty run-of-the-mill one, and unfortunately the offer for replayability and a long-lasting impression, well, it ain't really there. I mean, it ain't exactly a game you want to play over and over again, unfortunately. If you can get past it, and that's if you can get past it, I mean, it's a hard game, and it never feels like your effort is ever rewarded. The fun quickly fades after the Doomsday fight in level 2, and by probably level 7 or 8, it's pretty much non-existent. Even with a genre bias, because I love a good beat 'em up, the fun factor probably sits at about a 2.0.
It's wicked, whack!
And then finally, let's get to the challenge, which is, challenging? It's not like your enemies are tough, but they tend to take the cheap route often. Add in the fact you're usually trying to figure out which plane you're on, it gets a little tough. It's balanced with the 2 or 3 pure shooting levels, which tend to be way too easy. I mean, like, I think I lost a total of 2 lives between all of them. The boss fights are literal combo fest, where if you get knocked down by the boss and they're too close, when you get up to attack, they're back on you. I wish there was a more inventive strategy for this game, but I just don't think that was on Blizzard's list of priorities. It's literally like the challenge is a balancing act between crappy game design and actual challenge. Either way, I'm gonna say the challenge is at about an advanced. So I got my first taste of disappointment in a virtual metropolis. Could have been worse, but with a bit of improvements like a co-op mode, better music, or hell, even a better variety of villain or more thought out boss battles, it certainly could have been better. It does highlight the issue, and even makes me think more of how a proper Superman game would look if it was made with a bit more creativity. Maybe I don't know, put more emphasis on saving citizens than fighting. Maybe making his disappointment in failing to save the day more of an antagonist than, say, Brainiac or Metallo or Luthor, or why are those literally the only 3 Superman villains I can even think of? Whatever, it's an idea. But idea improvements aside, the Death and Return of Superman is getting a retro report card grade of a D. Just plain D. It's just a game with not enough oomph. Not to mention, it didn't attempt to stand out in any way. Like, I don't know exactly how the Spider-Man title, Maximum Carnage, comes out a month later and is a couple of steps above this game. Either way, I got a bit of time to get back before the movie. I know y'all are probably gonna watch day 1, but I can wait. Or maybe I might just use the watch and go watch it 2 weeks in the future and then come back and tell you about it. Have you ever gone to a movie and you're the only one in the entire theater? Heaven. I don't know, man. I might stick around and listen to that 6 Feet Under album by the Gravediggers. Ain't nothing like listening to an album right when it gets released. Heaven. Wait, I already did this. Well, if you know of a game I need to go ahead and test out for our collection, hit me up on that Insta or that X or TikTok. And hey, I'm setting up a Discord too, but follow me at Fury S Styles. One word, Z at the end. Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.